Guilty when you're trying to relax. It's like I'm just trying to relax, and yet I feel like I should be working. Then today's talk is for you. This is the Daily Lift Up. I'm Allison Graham, and of course, I'd love to hear from you. Put your comments in, well, where comments go. Put them in the comment box, and I'll bring them up. Here, apparently, I'm giddy and in a good mood. Well, that's what the point of the lift up is all about. Even if I did just have a nap. But you know what? Got to take care of yourself. And if you need a recharge, recharge it is. I say, I had a really impressively productive morning. So I was happy to take a little bit of the afternoon off. But the fact we have some holidays coming up and a lot of people are taking off for the early part of July. And, this is one of the best times to take off in the year because it feels like everybody's doing it. So the guilt is lessened by association. And sometimes, though, it's harder to have hold on, give me a second, take those off. Sometimes it's harder to, um, take guilt-free time off when you're the only one who's on vacation, if that makes sense. But this is like everybody kind of goes out. But I still think business is happening. I hope so. I don't think I'm going to take time off. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. If I do, though, it'll be guilt-free. Okay, let's check here. Number one, leave your phone in the other room. I think one of the reasons why we have a tough time disconnecting, and this is why I had a great conversation with Larissa Mills last week, who was talking about how our phones are just literally changing our brains and causing this low level of anxiety in our lives. And so I guess in many ways, this isn't just about guilt-free time off. It's also about taking refreshing time off and actually disconnecting. So with that in mind, leave the phone in the other room. Disconnect electronically. It's actually quite freeing. Hmm. Pretty cool. Next thing, interrupt those feelings of guilt. Now, the answer is not to feel guilty. And I remember the reason I talk about guilt a lot is one of my favorite stories. I'm sure you've heard me tell this if you watch the lockdown lift ups regularly, but I was coaching with a new client and she got really upset and started to cry. And she was like, I just feel so guilty. When I'm with my family, I know the work is piling up. And when I'm working, I feel guilty because I'm not with my family. And the truth is, we have to pick one area of responsibility that we are focused on at any one time. So if you are wearing your parenting hat, go all in. If you are wearing your sales hat, go all in. If you're wearing your client delivery hat, that's the only hat. We can't wear 10 hats at once. And I think that is one of the reasons we can get overwhelmed is because we're trying to wear many hats and getting pulled, and then we end up not wearing one really well. Lori's got a great note here. Yes, this is what I'm feeling, a sense of relief that my network is moving into summer vacation so I can take time off guilt-free. Isn't it interesting? And, Lori, I know you're not alone. It's so interesting that we feel this emotional connection to our work. And somehow, if we're taking a break, that means that we are less than or failing, or somehow we're not doing a good enough job on keeping up with X. But then when everybody else does it, it makes it okay. What I want to do, and Lori, I know you already have my book, Take Back Your Weekends. And a lot of it in there is trying to set people up for being okay to just take the break whenever they need to. And the way that we can take really effective breaks is by increasing our output per hour during the times when we choose to wear our working hat. And if we can increase our output per hour 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, or whatever you want to work, then we can take that time off because we know the important stuff is done. And I think sometimes the guilt comes from, or at least it has in my experience and with my clients and conversations, it comes from we know that the most important tasks are not getting done. We're so caught up in the weeds and so focused on the busy, busy, busy and getting distracted and pulled in a million different directions that the big proposal doesn't get done, the big, sale, the big this doesn't get done. And so when we can shift and we put those priorities first, and then we allow all the sort of stuff that kind of fills up our busy to go in around, we can really feel confident that what we've done already is actually so significant that we don't need to feel the guilt. Awesome. All right. So interrupt the feelings of guilt. Apparently, I went off into a bit of a tangent there, but this is very much, if you feel guilty, there's no judgment, right? Okay, isn't that interesting? I think that sensation I'm feeling that I don't really like is guilt. And, play with it a little bit. Be like, oh, isn't that interesting? I feel that. I wonder what the trigger is that I feel that. Whose expectations am I living in right now? What would it take for me to not feel that guilt? Now, I know a lot of times, actually, I was listening to, what was it? You know exactly who it was, but I don't want to say they're wrong. I guess I could. You know what? I'm going to. The guy who wrote The Untethered Soul, and he was with Sage and Tony Robbins. I don't know how old the podcast was. It was a video. I was listening to it while I was in the car the other day. It was great. And the premise that they were really talking about is you just got to let it go. Don't feel of this little thing. And I mean, I talk a lot about that, like choosing where your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual capacity gets directed for sure. But the thing is that by just let it go, like they said, let it go so many times, I was like, that's why we all have this suppressed anger. Not we all, but that's how we end up with suppressed anger and not processing our lives and having these emotions that trickle up into road rage is because we just think we're supposed to let it go. Well, no, we can't let it go. We have to process it so that we can have it diminish. And so for me, it was a really frustrating podcast to listen to. And yet I was like, well, they're much more successful than you are, Allison. So you're going to sit here in the driver's seat and you're going to just listen and bite your tongue. And even though you disagree, so adamantly that they're setting people up for failure. And so to this point, like to say, just stop feeling guilty, right? Just let it go is like completely dishonoring who you've become up until this very moment in your life. And so instead, we have to realize it, go into it, play with it a bit, and be okay with the fact that we're feeling guilt. All right, we've got some notes here. Let me say here. All right, Stephen. In my case, I'm not sure if it is guilt versus a scarcity mentality. Ooh, more here. Need the retainer clients I have and keep pushing to keep them. Oh, what's interesting here is I suspect your retainer clients would want you to be refreshed. And interestingly, it's this little note that we have here that says setting boundaries and setting expectations. So when it comes to our clients, we teach them how to treat us and what to expect from us. So if early in a relationship, we set it up so that like I'm accessible to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you need me, I'm there, which, I mean, in crisis communication is important, but crises don't happen all the time, at least I hope not. But for the most part, that people, I don't think people expect that. I don't think they expect that we're going to be there for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, Stephen, you and I have known each other for a lot of years, and I can assure you Like we're not close, but we've known each other, different circles, etc. Uh, there is no way that you're not serving your clients exceptionally well. And I'm going to guess that you need the break and deserve the break, and every one of them would expect that and would be almost disappointed if you were not, having some sort of a break or feeling that you could let them go. So one way I would recommend dealing with that is just setting it up and saying, and give lots of notice. So for the summer, I'm going to take Friday afternoons off. I'm going to check my phone once at, like check at noon. I'm going to touch base with you. If you think there might be something that you're going to need me for this weekend, give me a heads up. Otherwise, if it's actually an urgent issue before Monday morning, uh, I need you to call the house or actually pick up the phone and call, and I'll turn everything off except the phone ringing notifications. So something like that, because most people are reasonable. Like most people are not going to be like, no, I'd like you to sit by your iPhone or your BlackBerry or your Android all weekend long waiting for me. Like I think those expectations we put on ourselves, our clients do not put them on us. Oh, Greg, you've changed your photo. Look at that. Nice. All right. The things I noticed in the daytimes. The badge of honor aspect of hours spent also needs to change. People tend to forget that sometimes their efficient output is based on years of experience. No need to apologize for quick results. That's the thing. And like at our age, I'm putting us all into this category, working professionals, we can do something that might take somebody who's brand new in their career, 3 hours. We're going to get rid of all the snow around it, right? Like all the drama, all the pieces, we can just blast through that. And if you haven't heard that theory of mine, it's one of my signature theories. Please go check that out. The ice cube that became the snowman. But we just have so much experience, and like we've just done it enough times that we can cut through. That's like so true. And sometimes people will stay longer at work because they feel they have to, prove a point, as opposed to just like going, saying, I'm done and going. And you know what you can do if you really care that much? Set your Outlook to send an email follow up 2 hours later. So do the email, go enjoy yourself, have the email go out 2 hours later, and make it look like you're still not in a deceptive way. But if you think you did something too fast for what the expectation is, it's one way around it. Dan, what are you saying to me today? Setting boundaries is so important. Also presents a professional tone. I'm pretty sure my doctor isn't sitting waiting my call. Yeah, LOL is right. Exactly. Like there's so many professions that just set boundaries naturally. Like you wait to see them, you do whatever, and then you get people like us who care so much for our work. I mean, who's here? Lori's here, Steven's here, Greg. Like I know we all want to do the absolute best for everybody around us. And so we put this undue pressure on ourselves to be accessible, to go above and beyond, to take that extra mile, insert cliche here, whatever it is. And again, it's our expectations and how we've trained people to expect us to behave. When in actual fact, we can just twist it. And maybe it takes a conversation. Maybe it's a simple, hey, listen, I've been working too hard. I feel like I'm not taking time off. I'm so committed to being sure you are happy as a client. Are there things we can do together to help set the tone for me having more time in my life? I'll go back to the list. Here we are talking about guilt free time off and also just being able to take the time off that you want to take off. I have something here called trust the timing. And it's really interesting because, for as much as I talk about procrastination and doing things and rocking my task circle and all of that, as you know, I am I come up with these concepts first, the N of one for myself, and then I test them with my clients. And I have to keep using them, and I'm human, so I go through it. And what's really interesting is anytime I've been really just putting off something that I need to do, whether it's tech or a piece of the puzzle, ultimately something ends up happening that it makes it easier, or it just all comes together and like happens. And that happened to me yesterday. I had some things that I was like, actually, and you know what, Tammy's on the call here. Tammy knows because we're part of an accountability group where we do working blocks, and I'd be like, I'm gonna do this. Then I'd be like, the next time, I gotta do this, and I couldn't get it done. It turns out I was missing one critical piece of the puzzle that I finally figured out yesterday, and it would like happened in 20 minutes. It was crazy. I was like, oh, right. Sometimes we just have to trust timing and trust our future self. That's what I have here. That if I'm not working on the thing right now, and right now I am putting on the hat of relaxation, self care, family time, water skier, sailor, you name it, whatever you want to do this long weekend. Put on that hat and wear it proudly, and make it a little tilly and like tie it tight so it can't fall off. So your work hat can't sneak back on. Sometimes I think I may just go get a whole bunch of hats. I will demonstrate this experience. I might have some. Oh my gosh, I totally have hats. We will do that one day. Why you can't wear so many hats. I always say it can wait. I'm not a brain surgeon, so no one will die. Yeah, exactly. We're not triaging heart attacks here, people. We are doing marketing. We're advising. We're consulting. We are like in whatever world you're in. And so setting those boundaries and those expectations, because we need to be able to take a break. And I don't think people are relying on us as much as we think they're relying on us. Like they are, maybe, if you have a lot of people on you. I think people aren't thinking about whether or not you're taking a break. I think it's really admirable and sets boundaries and it's respectful and really just sets the tone when you can say, you know what, today's the day I'm not going to be in the office. Do all the right things, right? Set up the vacation in advance or the day off. If you feel you need to, put your out of office on. Another way is to set an alarm so that at twice in the day, like if your natural set point is I can't relax if I think there may be something crazy going on in my email, then set an alarm that you're going to check your email once at noon for 10 minutes just to be sure there are no fires. Doesn't mean you're going to respond to every email, but check to be sure there are no flat fires. Have an assistant who checks for you, and you could do like 2 or 3 increments throughout the day. Lots of possibilities. But your body needs the rest, and it needs consistent rest. Ongoing, consistent rest. Now, I know I'm so fired up talking about this stuff today, like lifting up. Uh, but I've got to go. So I've got to set expectations. I've got to head uptown, and I need to be there by 12 minutes. And you know how long a drive it is? It's 12 minutes. Now, it's okay if I'm a few minutes late. That's all right. So, thank you, Malik. Good strategy. I'm grateful for that. Thank you very much. I do love this stuff. So, speaking of that, I am going to take Canada Day off, which is Thursday. And I may even, for all my American clients, I may end up taking the 4th of July off too from our lift ups, but that's to be determined. I love coming on. So as long as you don't mind that I'm not all dolled up and I'm like I might be in a hoodie, for a holiday, we'll be good. So I hope you have an amazing day. And now keep in mind, we're here tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So thank you. But yeah, we'll be here tomorrow. I just want to set it up. Teeing up and setting boundaries and expectations for those of you who are so incredible to come each and every day at 3:15 as we lift up each other. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye. I got to hold this for LinkedIn just a little bit longer before I end the broadcast.